This year 1953 Ford Mainline might appear simple at first glance, but restoring a vehicle like this is a far more serious undertaking than most people imagine. What initially looks like an affordable classic often becomes a long-term project that demands careful planning, technical expertise, and a substantial financial budget. Cars from this era were built to be driven daily, not preserved for decades, which means time has quietly affected every system beneath the surface. The Ford Mainline was introduced as an entry-level sedan designed for practicality rather than luxury. In this year, Ford emphasized mass production, straightforward engineering, and durability, making the Mainline accessible to everyday families. However, that same affordability meant few were preserved, which is why surviving examples now carry increasing collector value. Original body proportions, factory drivetrains, and period-correct details are becoming harder to find, and rarity plays a major role in determining modern market value. The restoration process begins with a complete teardown and inspection. Every panel, mounting point, and structural component is examined for corrosion and fatigue. Rust in the frame rails, floor pans, and rocker panels represents one of the biggest threats to both safety and financial viability. Structural repairs require experienced technicians and precision fabrication, adding significantly to the overall cost. This stage alone can consume dozens, sometimes hundreds, of hours of skilled labor, especially when replacement panels must be hand-formed rather than sourced directly. Once the chassis integrity is restored, mechanical systems take priority. The original inline-six engine used in the Ford Mainline is known for simplicity, but decades of inactivity lead to worn bearings, seized components, and degraded seals. A professional engine rebuild involves machining the block, reconditioning the cylinder head, replacing pistons, valves, gaskets, and ensuring proper tolerances throughout. The engine rebuild cost is often one of the largest expenses in the entire project, requiring extensive labor and specialized equipment. It is not uncommon for this phase alone to exceed hours 120 of dedicated work. During mechanical restoration, decisions must be made regarding originality versus modernization. Retaining factory specifications preserves historical accuracy and strengthens long-term value, but sourcing correct components increases restoration time and overall price. Period-correct carburetors, ignition components, and engine accessories are increasingly rare, and authenticity comes at a premium in the collector market. The transmission and drivetrain are rebuilt alongside the engine. Worn gears, seals, and bearings must be replaced to ensure reliability. Even minor drivetrain components contribute to rising cost, as proper restoration requires professional machining and testing. These systems directly affect drivability and are closely evaluated by buyers when determining final resale potential. Suspension and braking systems follow next. Rubber bushings, springs, shocks, wheel bearings, and brake assemblies degrade over time, even when a car is not driven. Restoring these systems is essential for safety and roadworthiness. While individual parts may appear inexpensive, combined parts replacement and installation labor quickly increase the total budget. Safety-related work is non-negotiable and represents a significant portion of restoration. COST before cosmetic improvements even begin. Electrical systems present another major challenge. Aging wiring insulation, corroded connectors, and outdated charging systems create reliability and safety risks. A full wiring replacement improves performance and reduces fire hazards, but it also adds substantial time and hours to the project. Professional installation is critical, particularly when classic car insurance providers assess eligibility and coverage terms. As these mechanical systems are restored, the Ford Mainline begins to transition from a neglected project into a structurally sound classic. Even before cosmetic work begins, the underlying value of the vehicle increases as reliability and authenticity are restored. At this stage, the car may still appear unfinished, but financially and mechanically, it has crossed a critical threshold. By the end of this phase, the restoration has already demanded extensive labor, careful planning, and a rising cost that often surprises first-time restorers. Yet this is only the foundation. The next stages, body refinement, paint, interior restoration, and final assembly will ultimately determine whether this year 1953 Ford Mainline becomes a modest classic or a fully realized collector vehicle with strong long-term market value. Bodywork begins with extensive surface preparation. Even after structural repairs, decades of dents, warping, corrosion scars, and previous low-quality repairs must be addressed. Achieving straight panels requires countless cycles of metal finishing, filler application, sanding, and alignment. This process is extremely labor-intensive and can require well over hours 200 of skilled craftsmanship. Precision at this stage is critical, because imperfections will be amplified once paint is applied, directly affecting final value. Paint is one of the most expensive and visible investments in the entire restoration. To achieve a period-correct finish, restorers apply multiple layers of primer, block sanding between each stage to ensure perfect surface flatness. Color matching for a car from this year requires research into factory paint codes and historical references. High-quality paint materials, controlled spray environments, and professional application dramatically increase the paint-related cost, but they also play a major role in determining long-term market value. Interior restoration follows, and it is far more complex than simply replacing seats. Upholstery patterns must match factory specifications, seat frames require rebuilding, padding must be reshaped, and materials must reflect the textures and finishes used in the original production era. Dashboard components, gauges, steering wheels, and trim pieces are restored or recreated. This stage demands specialized skills and additional hours of professional labor, extending restoration time while significantly enhancing authenticity and collector appeal. Chrome and exterior trim restoration represent another major expense. Bumpers, grills, moldings, and emblems often require rechroming due to pitting and corrosion. This process is costly because it involves chemical stripping, metal repair, polishing, and plating. While optional in budget builds, proper chrome restoration has a measurable impact on perceived quality and final resale value, especially among serious collectors. As final assembly begins, attention shifts to precision and testing. Every system is reinstalled, adjusted, and calibrated. Panel gaps are checked, door alignment refined, and weather seals installed. Mechanical systems are tuned, fluids replaced, and electrical components tested under load. This final assembly phase adds substantial hours of detail-oriented labor, ensuring the car performs as well as it looks. Once fully restored, the financial transformation becomes clear. While the total restoration cost often exceeds initial expectations, the finished vehicle occupies an entirely different tier in the collector market. A properly restored Ford Mainline commands significantly higher market value than unrestored examples, particularly when documentation verifies professional workmanship and originality. In the broader collector landscape, cars like the year 1953 Ford Mainline represent more than transportation. They embody post-war American manufacturing, design simplicity, and cultural history. As fewer original examples remain, restored vehicles gain stronger long-term resale potential, especially when maintained properly and driven sparingly. Ultimately, this restoration is not about shortcuts or quick profit. It is about preserving authenticity, honoring craftsmanship, and transforming a neglected vehicle into a reliable, insurable, and valuable classic. The final value reflects not only financial investment, but the thousands of hours of skilled labor, planning, and patience required to bring a forgotten car back to life. For collectors and enthusiasts alike, that transformation is what makes a full restoration truly worthwhile.